How's it going, guys? My name's Wilson. All the different NBA topics, predictions, and trying to see further down the line and how everything's gonna play out. Always fascinating. Even the biggest NBA experts like me often get many predictions wrong. If you guys are new to my channel and want to learn more about NBA history, the fastest way, hit the subscribe button. I promise you won't regret it. If you really want a good laugh at my prediction video made 3 years ago about the 5 best players for the 2020s decade, one guy on this list can't make a jump shot and was an absolute travesty in the 2021 playoffs. With that said, let's get started with a little recap. Exactly 10 years ago, the 2011 offseason, followed by predicting the 10 best players for the entire 2010s decade if this was the summer of 2011, and then we'll see which players most of us were wrong about. Dirk Nowitzki turned 33 right after winning his first and only championship, upsetting the Big Three Miami Heat, beating all the best players. While LeBron, 26 years old, all eyes were on him for the long-term future. Every season viewed championship or bust, no other exceptions. Derrick Rose made history, becoming the youngest player to win league MVP at 22. It appeared the Bulls and Heat were heading towards a decade-long rivalry. 25-year-old Dwight Howard, at the peak of his powers, already captured 3 straight Defensive Player of the Year awards, second in MVP voting, supposed to be the next Shaq. Kobe Bryant turned 33. Anticipated to have a few more elite seasons and naturally slowed down due to age and mileage, retired before the end of the decade expected. Dwayne Wade at 29 was at the tail end of his prime. Sooner rather than later, LeBron was clearly going to be Miami's #1. The insanely athletic Blake Griffin won Rookie of the Year, jumped over a car. Chris Paul's future with the Hornets up in the air. Nobody had any idea what would unfold after the lockout. Steph Curry finished his second full season on a 36-win Golden State team. There were no indications he would change the game forever. 19-year-old Kyrie Irving drafted #1 out of Duke, while the Klay Thompsons, Jimmy Butlers, and Kawhi Leonards of the world wasn't heard of yet. All 3 would be drafted outside the top 10. Now that I refresh your memory, for those who watched the NBA 10 years ago, we all had our takes, the lunchroom arguments with our friends in high school, the Kobe vs. LeBron debates, even the Shaq vs. Dwight Howard debate. Can you believe that? People used to think Dwight Howard would possibly go down better than Shaq. That used to make my blood boil. And of course, the very heated Deron Williams vs. Chris Paul debate, one of the most fascinating ones. With that said, let's take a look at most of our NBA predictions on who was going to be the 10 best players from after the 2011 season to the end of the 2010s decade versus the actual results. Number 10, Rajon Rondo, viewed as the future of the Boston Celtics with the Big Three aging. 24-year-old established top 5 point guard, made first team all defense, came off finishing 10th for MVP voting. The 2-time All-Star averaged over 10 a game, 11 dimes, 2.3 steals for the 56-win Celtics. Despite still having a broken jump shot, Rondo elevates his game during the playoffs, makes incredible timely plays. Unlike Ben Simmons of the current NBA, the only thing stopping Rondo from superstar status was indeed his jump shot. In the conversation for the best passer in the game, injured in the semis versus Miami when D-Wade collided with his elbow, ruining Boston's chances. By age 24, Rondo, already a 2-time All-Star, 3 defensive teams, the hype was so real, most NBA experts would absolutely take Rondo for the next 7-8 years as of summer of 2011, then take Ben Simmons summer of 2021 for 7 and 8 years. In fact, there's probably 40 players many of you would take for the entire 2020s decade over Ben Simmons right now, given how atrocious he's been. Rondo was really viewed heavily as a future superstar with top 10 all-time great point guard potential, but was just okay and kind of disappointing. Had an amazing season in 2012, averaged almost a dozen points, 12 dimes, including 17, 7, and 12 over 2 steals that postseason. Between the end of the 2012 regular season to early start of the 2012-13 regular season, prime Rondo from March 11 of 2012 to November 25th of 2012, not including playoffs, tied John Stockton, having dished out 10 plus assists in 37 straight games, only second all time behind Magic Johnson, who did it 46 straight games. Rondo had a chance to break Magic's streak, but his attitude and emotions at times got the best of him. Streak snapped after he was ejected for fighting Chris Humphries, an absolute travesty of a decision. Caught a bad break in January, tore his ACL, missed the remainder of the season season wasn't quite the same since. 2013 would be Rondo's last All-Star season at just 27, nearly missed the full year, then broke his hand before the 2014-15 season, was toxic in Dallas, did not get along with Rick Carlisle, his reputation took a hit, couldn't help Sacramento, defense declined, a shell of himself, basically an average player in the regular season, but playoff Rondo's still a factor, led the Bulls winning 2 games against number 1 seed Boston before getting injured in 2017, signed with New Orleans in 2018, helped them get past the first round, a key contributor to the 2020 Lakers run, a recent Clipper as of 21, traded to Memphis, now at the very tail end of his career. Number 9, Dwayne Wade, who was neck and neck with Kobe in the shooting guard conversation. In 2011, 29 years old, averaged 25.5 points, over 6 rebounds, nearly 5 assists, over a block on 50% shooting, while LeBron was the younger and better talent. Some night, Wade was better, almost 1A and 1B. Some even went as far as saying Wade was the best player in 2011, which is a bit of a stretch, but he did ball out in the finals, was a monster in the Boston series, but knee injuries derailed Wade from truly being an all-time great. Played just 49 games in 2012, had big games when most important, 30-piece against Indiana, Game 4 win, 41 in the closeout, had 23 in Boston Game 7, consistent all around in the OKC series, averaged 21, 5 and 5 in 2013, his last true superstar season, the 2013 finals, a 32.6 steal Game 4 in San Antonio, followed by a 23.10 rebound Game 7. LeBron certainly wouldn't have won those titles without Wade showing up in the biggest games, still made 4 more All-Star teams after, but never developed a consistent outside shot. Wade didn't age as well as other greats into his mid-30s. After James left the Heat, Wade made the playoffs 3 more times, even ended up playing for the Bulls and Cavs. It was an absolute travesty. Dwayne Wade didn't spend his entire career with the Miami Heat. Many thought he would age a little better and be a superstar for a few more years. Number 8, Russell Westbrook. First 3 seasons in OKC, made his first All-Star team at 22, already viewed as the number 2 option to KD, came off putting up 22 a game, 4.5 boards, over 8 dimes, didn't miss a single regular season game his first 5 years, slowly made his way to superstardom with his relentless energy and motor, put up 24, 6 and 6 in the Nuggets series, a 40 bomb versus Memphis. Despite all the criticism, Westbrook became better than most expected, would go down as the most athletic point guard the game has ever seen, averaged a triple-double for 4 seasons. After KD left, Russ even managed to win an MVP, his peak being a top 5 player in the game, the best player in his class. Him and KD, the duo that was supposed to win multiple titles together, but even as early as 2011, there were questions surrounding the amount of crazy shots Westbrook took with his out-of-control style, the fact that Russell Westbrook nearly took the same amount of shots as KD, while the 2 closeout games in that playoffs against Denver and Memphis, Westbrook deferred to Durant, who netted in 41 and 39 points respectively. Russ's style of play and not allowing Durant to take more shots became his biggest downfall, was a serious issue for the future, which started when both were in their early 20s. Number 7, Deron Williams, who's been out of the league for 4 years now, after trying to chase a ring, out the league by 32 after a disastrous of a finals performance, getting heavy blame, being a bench guy on a LeBron-led team. 10 years ago, there were some chatters Williams had a chance to go down better than John Stockton. The breakout ended terribly in Utah, but D. Will, already a 2-time All-Star, had way more playoff success than Chris Paul. First 6 years in the league, Paul won just 1 playoff series then, Williams 4 series wins. Stronger and a more physical body for the one, it seemed like Williams would be the one that would age best, looked upon as the future of the Nets franchise, the cornerstone for their Brooklyn relocation, for somebody that was supposed to be entering his prime. Nets GM Billy King felt Williams was the best point guard in the league. When you want to try to win, you need a point guard and a center, and I think we have 2 of the best. Brook Lopez was the Nets center from the 2008 season till after 2011. Williams averaged over 19 points, 10.5 assists on 47% shooting, was turning 27. If anybody back in 2011 would have said they take Steph Curry over Deron Williams for the next 8 years, they would have absolutely gotten laughed at. D. Will unfortunately heavily underperformed and underachieved with the Nets, played just 55 games in 2012, averaged 21 points, 9 dimes. After signing a 5-year, $99 million deal summer of 2012, the team traded for Joe Johnson, resigned Lopez, and also resigned Gerald Wallace, who they gave up the first-round Damian Lillard draft pick to Portland. At times, Joe Johnson looked like the best player in 2013. Williams still averaged under 19 and 8 dimes. His last very good season got upset in the first first round by the Bulls, his career quickly went south after acquiring Pierce and Garnett. Both viewed Williams as a legit MVP candidate, but the lack of leadership and the media pressure too much to handle. Williams lasted just 4 more seasons, basically retired the same year as Paul Pierce, averaged 13.6 assists on 42% shooting, brought out by the Nets after 2015, a shell of himself with the Mavs, averaged 13 and 7 assists, 40 games with 2017 Dallas as the starting one. All of a sudden, waived by his hometown team, was even viewed as the missing piece to try to stop the reign in Curry's Warriors. Williams lost all confidence in his game, only to average a whooping 1 point on a combined 2 of 16 shooting in the finals, bad enough to put himself out the league for good. An absolute travesty ending to an NBA career. At least he got paid by the Nets till 2020. Number 6, Blake Griffin, the athletic high-flying power forward viewed as a generational type talent, jumped out the gym. His NBA debut, much anticipated, just as much hype as Zion in 2020, if not more. Finished 2011 having the best rookie season since Tim Duncan in '98, posted 22.5 points, 12 dimes, 4 assists, the rebounding numbers, the highest season in any of his career. It seemed like every night Griffin was going to do something crazy. The speed and balance, finishing with either hands and hustle, in the same class as James Harden and Steph Curry. All dirty teams would have picked Griffin number 1 back in 2009 without question, despite missing 1 full season. In summer 2011, all dirty teams would have still taken Griffin from the 09 draft class above everybody else. Blake was everything he was viewed to be in 2011, a double-double machine. His ferocious style also led to injury concerns, would need to develop more skill and a jump shot. Griffin was absolutely dominant his first 5 years. The Lob City era, averaged 21.5 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 52% shooting, made the playoffs every season from 2012 to 2017, but never got over the hump. Second team All-NBA 3 straight seasons afterwards, even finished 3rd for MVP in 2014. At the height of his powers at the time, Griffin had a chance to become a top 3 player in the game, averaging an insane 25.5 points, almost 13 rebounds, 6 assists in 14 games of the 2015 postseason, numbers he was expected to average for years, just 26 at the time. But 2015 injuries occurred, a torn quad, then the equipment staff altercation, hurt his quad again during the 2016 playoffs, a toe injury the following postseason. Untimely injuries between him and Chris Paul ruined the Clippers' hopes. Blake would become a respectable 3-point shooter and always been a stellar passer, but his athleticism no longer there. Blake's skill rounded out in 2019, averaged 24.5 points, 7.5 boards, 5.5 assists for the season, hit 2.5 threes a game, changed his play style a lot. If Griffin had his 2014 athleticism combined with his 2019 skill set and wasn't injured as often, the Clippers would have likely won a title by now. Number 5, Chris Paul. The 26-year-old lacked the pieces in New Orleans. 6 seasons in, some already counted him out. After the knee injury in 2010, came off averaging the lowest points of his career, 15.9, but still putting up 10 assists a game, 2.5 steals, dragged his Hornets to 46 wins with David West, Trevor Ariza, Emeka Okafor, and Aaron Gray. The point guard gap between Paul, Williams, Rose, and Westbrook closing in all belong in the conversation. While CP clearly the best floor general from 2008 to 2010, all-time great advanced stats, 2011 regular season somewhat disappointing by his standards, but took Kobe's Lakers to 6 in the first round, balled out, made everybody remember how special he is, already 3 defensive teams, and a 4-time All-Star by 25. CP was supposed to go to the Lakers before David Stern interfered, settling for the Clippers. Paul clearly became the best point guard from 2012 to 2014, first team All-NBA and defensive first team all 3 of those years, an MVP candidate, absolutely lived up to everything he was expected to be. Some would have taken former rival Deron Williams above Paul 10 years ago, but it's not even close at this point. To see how good CP3 still is in 2021, beyond remarkable, still looking to pursue a ring at age 36, incredible for his age. Number 4, Derrick Rose. Coming off winning the MVP, young Rose wasn't even supposed to be in his prime yet. There was no ceiling how great he would have been. The biggest what if in the 2010s decade was doing Russell Westbrook things in his early 20s, became a solid 3-point shooter much later in his career. If Rose had his explosiveness combined with being able to drain a consistent 3 ball in his mid to late 20s, would have arguably been a top 3 or 4 player in the game for multiple years. The Bulls might have won a title and would have challenged LeBron many times in the playoffs. The fact that the 22-year-old led Chicago to 60 62 wins, Carlos Boozer missed 23 games, Joakim Noah missed 34, and 4.4 points. Keith Bogans as the starting shooting guard. Rose 100% deserved that MVP. Was no surprise to lose to a much more established LeBron and the Miami Heat in the conference finals. His speed and agility still something to be in awe of, but the stress put on his knees and ankles always a dangerous factor. I strongly believe if Rose was fully healthy, the Bulls would have made the finals in 2014 and 2015 and perhaps win a title one of those years. Any 22-year-old winning the MVP would have been one of the top players chosen to build a team around a franchise. Number 3, Dwight Howard. The reason I've been harsh on D12 in my previous videos, the guy had all the talent in the world, the physicality, athleticism, and speed for his size. Howard was literally supposed to be an all-time great center, having one of the best resumes for any 25-year-old, coming off 5 All-Stars, 3 straight DPOY awards, already 3 rebounding titles, led his Magic to 1 finals at just 23 years old, 3 defensive first teams, top 5 in MVP voting in 2008, 2009, 2010, and 2011. If Dwight retired after 2011, would have still been guaranteed a Hall of Famer. After averaging 23 and 14, his post move still wasn't consistent, but a powerful force if he ever developed a consistent offensive game, and even had Andrew Bynum offensive moves. Howard could have been the top 20 player all time given his talent, but wasn't assertive enough, didn't develop into a true leader, complained a lot, and acted like a diva. Demanded a trade in 2012, had back surgery, regressed there, was a disaster in 2013 with the Lakers. James Harden didn't get along with him in Houston. His hometown Hawks wanted him out after a year. Charlotte couldn't stand him. Played 9 games with the Wizards, had a butt injury, needed surgery for that for off the court reasons. Very inappropriate, not being there for his team, made a little redemption as a bench player for the 2020 Lakers. But the fact that Howard was voted second to build your team around during the early 2010s decade, just behind LeBron, and having the second highest trade value Bill Simmons wrote every year between 2007 to 2011, just goes to show the hype around Dwight was insane. But combined with some injuries, the attitude, and how quickly the NBA changed during the mid-2010s, Howard didn't fully adapt and just became a role player by 2015. Having one of the greatest physiques and genetics in NBA history, there was no reason why prime Dwight Howard shouldn't be averaging 28 and 15 in his prime. Instead, he's not even top 10 for the 2010s decade. That's his fault. Number 2, Kevin Durant. Without question, the 22-year-old superstar had all-time great potential, already 2-time scoring champion, 2 straight first teams, led OKC to 50 and 55 wins. Durant scoring already polished, unstoppable with his height, size, and movement like a guard. The fact that KD took OKC to the Western Conference Finals at 22 and all his success before Jordan Golden State doesn't get talked about enough. Durant and LeBron, the only players to make the All-Star team every season in the 2010s decade, took OKC to the finals at age 23, led the franchise to 60 wins at 24. The year after trading away Harden, was already a 4-time All-Star, 3-time scoring champ, before Curry even made a single All-Star team, before Curry even won his first playoff series. KD won MVP in 2014, 59 wins, with Westbrook nearly missing half the season. When Durant got hurt in 2015, Westbrook failed to lead OKC to the playoffs. Over the course of the 2010s decade, Durant's averages of 28 points, 7.5 boards, 4.5 assists, over a steal and a block on 50% shooting clearly makes him the second best player of the decade, behind number 1, LeBron James. After a disappointing 2011 finals, James made sure he would never have another bad series like this in the biggest stage ever again. Learned from his mistakes, only to elevate his status and greatness. Already a 7-time All-Star and 2 MVPs by 26. The 2010s decade, no question, was going to be dominated by LBJ. 8 straight finals appearances, the best regular season and playoff player in 2012 and 2013, winning back-to-back MVPs, including first-team All-Defense those years, 3 titles in a 5-year span, averaged nearly 27, 8, and 8 on 53% shooting. For the decade between 2012 to the 2018 playoffs, James put up an insane 29.5 points, over 9 boards, 7 assists on 51% shooting. No question, James absolutely lived up to the hype, solidifying himself as the best player of his generation, still going strong heading into 2022. Honorable mentions includes John Wall, rookie coming off averaging 16 and 8 dimes for the 23-win Wizards, the consensus number 1 pick, fast and athletic, monster on the open court, and an amazing passer. One could argue Paul George so far in the 2010 class, but PG played for a mid-major. Although Wall did live up to his all-star status on a bad Wizards team, made 5 straight all-stars, but never got past the second round. At his peak in 2017, entered the superstar conversation, averaged 23 and 11, but declined and injury prone after signing an extension for 170, played 41 games in 2018, season-ending surgery in 2019, then a ruptured Achilles, did not play another game for the Wizards after 2019. John Wall's career overall a little underwhelming, now viewed as a slept-on player. While Carmelo Anthony, 26 years old for the New York Knicks, entering his prime, we knew he was going to be great, but was always a level below the LeBrons, KDs, and Kobe's of the world. He did turn out to become who he was, pretty much the same player since coming into the league. While Kevin Love, most improved player at 22, viewed as a franchise guy, averaged 20 and 15, had all the tools to become a future superstar, his numbers took a hit since leaving the Wolves. While LaMarcus Aldridge, heading into 26, developed a deadly fadeaway, missed the consistency, and Kyrie Irving, just drafted 10 years ago, had all the tools to become a future superstar. There was plenty of hype surrounding him. The predictions, once again: number 10, Rajon Rondo; number 9, Dwayne Wade; number 8, Russell Westbrook; 7, Deron Williams; 6, Blake Griffin; 5, Chris Paul; 4, Derrick Rose; 3, Dwight Howard; 2, Kevin Durant; and 1, LeBron James. Now time for the actual results. If you want to hear a deeper explanation, I made this video 2 years ago on ranking the 10 best players of the 2010s decade. Just click on the link above if you want to hear my reasons for my rankings. Number 10, I had Kyrie Irving, the number 1 pick out of Duke. Exciting first overall pick, did not disappoint. Number 9, Dwayne Wade, right where he's expected to be. Number 8, Anthony Davis, drafted the following year. After a monster season in college, many didn't hear about Anthony Davis until late in the year in 2011, when he was an absolute beast in college, was guaranteed to be an NBA superstar. Nobody ever questioned it. Number 7, Russell Westbrook, 4 conference finals playing with KD, but 3 straight first round exits after 2016. Number 6, Chris Paul, very accurate how his career shaped out. Number 5, I had James Harden, who was still coming off the bench in his second season. We saw the improvements, but nobody had any idea Harden would become a superstar, a 3-time scoring champ, and a future MVP. I thought he would be a more athletic version of Manu Ginobili and become a great player, but becoming a future all-time great shooting guard and being one of the best regular season players all time. Many did not expect that. Number 4, I had Kawhi Leonard. Little did we know, somebody who didn't even play in the NBA yet before the 2011-12 season would end up Finals MVP 3 years later. One of the most unexpected rise to superstardom, goes to show how great San Antonio was. Spotted Kawhi's greatness from the jump. Number 3, Steph Curry, who shocked the entire basketball world. The best run from any player arguably at the time, from 2015 to 2019, given his 2 MVP years, insane regular season success, winning between 57 to 73 games, making the finals every one of those years, changed how the game was being played. After Curry took off, there was no going back. Steph didn't even become an all-star till 2014. Nobody could have predicted he was going to be this great. The incredible rise made us all forget about his slow NBA start. Now many already put him in the top 10 conversation. While number 2, Kevin Durant, and number 1, LeBron James, absolutely lived up to the hype and more. Both played their best in the postseason, completely unstoppable. An Achilles injury prevented KD from having one of the best playoff runs all time in 2019, still going strong with Brooklyn in the early part of the 2020s decade. The guys who fell off: Rondo with his ACL injury, Deron Williams, a multitude of injuries, Blake Griffin, various injuries combined with declining athleticism, Derrick Rose, the ACL, and Dwight Howard, injuries combined with attitude issues, replaced by Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, and Steph Curry. All that seemed like yesterday. It wouldn't have been surprising if we thought Deron Williams would go down better than Chris Paul, if Dwight Howard or Blake Griffin would have been multiple-time MVP winners. That's how great many of us believed those guys were going to be. We're now living in 2021, seeing the emergence of Stephen Curry starting in 2013 versus the Knicks after James Harden left OKC and became a true star in Houston. How Kawhi Leonard got better in San Antonio every year. Players nobody thought too much of in 2011. 10 years from now, some of the players we thought would be top 10 for the entire 2020s decade might fall off due to unexpected circumstances, injuries, or attitude problems, while future prospects that aren't in the league yet can possibly take over from the start and leave their imprint before the end of the 2020s decade. It could also be guys in the league today who aren't considered all-star players yet, but will get way better over the next couple seasons. The Steph Currys and James Hardens of the world, both heavily slept on in 2011, both changed the game and became elite top players, while Luka Doncic and Giannis viewed as two of the brightest guys to build a team around for the rest of the decade. Giannis, age 26, just won a championship with Milwaukee, just like LeBron was 26 in 2011. He did not win a championship. Luka Doncic, 22. Kevin Durant was 22 in 2011. Very interesting stuff. Thank you so much for watching this video. Subscribe for more content, more good stuff coming soon. I love all of you. See you next time.